Hello, hello. Welcome to GatherVerse Youth Summit. My name is Christian Brown. I'm the founder of a mental wellness startup called Blemish and wellness director here at GatherVerse. And I'm super excited to moderate this panel today about a very, very crucial topic. We'll talk about mental health. We'll talk about wellness. And of course, we'll talk about building wellness ecosystems for the younger generations in a time where in the past 10 years, screen time among young people has doubled to over 8 hours a day. It's important that we have a topic about how to protect the well-being of our younger generation. So I'm not alone in this. I'm surrounded by a group of professionals that I'm excited to hear from. And so let's get this started by just doing some introductions. We can start, let's say, with Corey. Hi, Corey, and we'll end with Thomas. Let's do it.
Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. I'm very passionate about helping youth do better in life. As someone who had a very challenging upbringing, I know all the support is necessary at that point in time. But what I'm doing is I'm the founder of A Well Cared for Human, which is both a book and a podcast. And I am a best-selling author with over 30 books. And so my core focus is really getting out there and helping support others and guiding them toward their well-being. And so that's what I'm all about. Thank you for letting me join you today.
Awesome. Thank you, Corey. All right, next we'll go to Lori.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Lori McDowell, and I am the CEO of Reimagine You Strategies, which really is a coaching, a speaking, and a training company that helps people, particularly, I work a lot with youth, but also with adults, really look at their life from themselves and create better lives. So we do a lot of mindset work, a lot of training on, really letting go what's limiting you, which is really important, I think, for our youth today, because they come here with, often a lot of baggage just from growing up in the environment, and they don't know what's possible. So I help people find out what's possible and realize that they can get it, and help them set themselves up for the rest of their lives.
Amazing. Thank you for that. All right, now we'll go over to Megan. How are you today? You're on mute. You're on mute once. Yeah. Still on mute there. Take the bottom of your screen to the left, the mute button. So,
good morning. Yeah. Hi. So I'm super grateful to be here and honored. I'm Megan. I am co-creator of this forum called Tools for Transformation. My passion is to help people live the life that they came to Earth to live. I want people to live the highest version of themselves so they can be of the greatest service to humanity.
Lovely. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Megan.
My pleasure.
All right, next up, Jesper.
Good morning or good evening if you are in Europe. I'm Jesper. So I've co-founded Train for Good, where it's very simple. We help people improve their physical health through fitness, diet, and then we also donate to charities. So some of our revenue, we send it straight to charity projects to help struggling communities with youth, help them to get education and so on. But I'm really excited about this topic, as also something I've been through myself. How do you actually learn how to deal with your mental health when nobody is there to actually guide you in your environment? So I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Jesper. All right, Shamama Lynn, how are you?
You see it. Shamama Lynn is coming out, founder of the Purpose Embodiment Method and Cosmic Rose Reiki. And my relevant experience for this discussion is that I've worked as a paraprofessional with level 4 children. So right before they end up in juvie, I was a teacher at a STEM summer camp in inner city San Diego with at-risk youth. And right now I teach circus and acrobatics and flow arts in the Virgin Islands. So a wide range of experience with a wide range of children.
Amazing. Thank you, Lynn. All right, last but not least, Thomas. How are you?
I'm Thomas. I run RNH Creative Advocacy and Storytelling. I work with a wide variety of youth, including the mental health and neurodiverse community. But I utilize creativity and advocacy as a means to help youth access what they need and build real life skills. And in my work, I often say I wear all the hats. I do advocacy, I do writing, I do storytelling, event specialty, family consulting, all different kinds of things. But the end goal is really to help change the mindset on what people think works for youth, while also helping youth find their voice.
Awesome. Awesome. This is amazing. We have a lot of diversity and expertise here, so I'm excited to dive into this conversation. And the first question that we have that we'll discuss is, how can we encourage youth to take ownership of their mental health in an increasingly digital world? Who would like to take a start in getting us off on the right note here? All right, let's go Megan first and then Thomas.
Okay. Good morning. I'm taking it first only because I need to leave first.
Okay.
So, not that this is my favorite question. How can we encourage youth to take ownership of their mental health in an increasingly digital world? So today I was led to share two tools, and one is teaching children the power of their gut, that our gut has as many receptors as our brain does, and that so much of our emotional, mental, physical, spiritual well-being starts with having a balanced biome. So that's nutritional education, because when our vagus nerve is aligned, our mind and our heart and our body are all connected. When that puts us in a state of grace, in a state of homeostasis, we go from fight or flight into rest and digest. When we're in a state of rest and digest, we have ease and grace, we have access to our executive center, and we live a healthier, more balanced life. So I think that's stage one. And then the other one is one of my tools. It's called the values determination. There's 13 questions that we ask, and there's 3 answers for every question. And you simply answer the questions. A lot of them seem to be the same, but they access different parts of our brain. You do a summation of the exercise, and at the end of the exercise, you have the beginning of what your highest values are. Everyone has their own highest values. This is not dignity, grace, integrity. It is more about, maybe I want to teach, I want to study, I want to travel. When we live in our highest values, we are of the greatest service to ourselves and humanity. Those are 2 in a nutshell.
I love that. Thank you so much. And where can we go to find those 13 questions that you mentioned?
Actually, you can come to me, or you can go straight to Dr. John DeMartini.
Amazing.
It's his tool, and it's what I share. Yeah. Or you can come to my website, transformationwithmegan.com.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Megan and Thomas. So what are your thoughts on this?
So I have a lot of thoughts on this. I'm going to try to keep them contained. So I think, especially in a digital world, so I'll back up a little bit. I myself, grew up during some rough times. I always say the 90s and 2000s were a rough time, I think, for mental health care. But kind of speeding forward, I think there are a lot of different transitioning mindsets in healthcare and in mental health in today's day and age, where it used to be, a lot of it was, we always have to cure the problem. I think a lot of it now is we have to accept and understand where these youth are coming from. And I myself have seen a lot of this transition in the mindset of helping youth through the power of education. And I always like to emphasize that one of the greatest ways to get people to understand how they can access their mental health is through empathic communication, but also really highlighting how people learn. I love the idea of teaching people how they actually learn, not how we want them to learn. how they process their information, not necessarily how we want them to. And I found in a lot of youth, this conversation, as stated, starts with their values and their understanding of what they want, but it also starts with not trying to scare someone or not trying to control them all the time. I find one of the best parts of the education journey on mental health is really having those genuine, compassionate conversations and helping youth identify and connect with what they want, who they want to be, and also not putting a lot of shame on the idea that this is a very complex journey. And I find a lot of youth are so often shamed for expressing themselves in the only way they know how. They're shamed for sometimes just being youth in a system that is so often flawed. And I think when we really hone in on a pathway that works for youth, we have a better chance of them accessing that. But also in a digital age, so much of it, I think, is also understanding that digital access to the world is for so many people their connection and their exploration of who they are and what they want to do and the information that comes to them. And I think a big part of that is really honing in on the idea of what we, conversations around media, conversations around what is healthy, what is not, what is representation that is positive, what is not, and also exploring and kind of nailing down the digital journey as well, and understanding that there are going to be mistakes, but we don't need to demonize or punish all the time for those explorations.
Yeah, I love you. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And I like that you and Megan both mentioned values, right? Because I think as a young person, you're still developing what those values are, and it's all a process of self-discovery. And now with social media, with so much time spent online, the process of self-discovery also involves a lot of other people's expressions and perspectives, and it's easy to lose yourself, especially as a young person. So I think being able to find a place of foundational values is really important when it comes to mental health of a young person. And at least the next question of what are some innovative ways technology can be used to provide mindfulness and wellness tools to young people. Let's go here with Lynn. I know you do some really cool things online, so I'll just take a shot at this question, and then we'll move to Corey or Lori.
Well, I think kids are a lot deeper. Like I'm thinking about teenagers. I work more with like younger kids, but teenagers are like deep. And so I think they really are ready to think about things like mind hacking, mindfulness, having more positive thoughts. And that comes through audio and visual, right? Everything is sound, frequency, light. So when we I have meditations that are sacred geometries run for each of the chakras. It's like, I am strong, I am stable. So, I mean, we can get this in VR, like in 3D surround sound. I mean, we can make it very interactive, but it is this act of just like sitting. And I think there's desire for that on some level. And I know this is kind of contrary and it's going to come up again, but I just want to start right from the beginning and put in that there's a big issue with all these shooter video games. There are large populations of our young men spending hours in front of a screen shooting people. And they're doing it in communities. And we're calling it connectedness. And we need to, speaking of not judging, like I'm feeling this fire within me. Mamas, we need to put the kibosh on this. So we need to take ownership. We're buying the food. We're destroying the guts. We're buying the video games. We are giving them access to things and expecting them to make good decisions. They're teenagers. They're not going to make good decisions. So we need to provide them the technologies. If we're going to buy them a video game, maybe it does need to be a mindfulness video game. Maybe there's an avatar and they need to do stretching and you got to stretch more than the Navy SEAL. I mean, we got to get really creative in what we want and what we want these. I'm really feeling called to stand up for the boys because right now I work mainly with girls. My past work was more with boys who were troubled. And I think these video games, and I think a lot of these things we let them do, boys will be boys, is not okay. We need to get them in jiu-jitsu. We need to get them in karate. We need to get them moving their bodies and learning how to harness this energy that they don't know what to do with. And so there's anything we can do in real life, we can throw in the metaverse. So it doesn't really matter. But honestly, unfortunately, I'm going to say less is more in the technology, and we need groups at parks doing this in person. And if we can live stream it somewhere or include technology, fine. But I think the technology needs to be secondary. And, you know, it's awkward to say that on a tech gathering in front of tech people, but we're the ones that need to lay the gauntlet down and say enough is enough and not let this train keep running away. Amen, hallelujah, and so it is.
Amazing. I see that spoke to Megan as well. But I mean, you're so right. I think as the parents, right, we do have a responsibility, you know, a major responsibility in how these technologies are used, and also the communities that are formed.
And it's hard. I just want to throw that in. I get it. It's hard. It's going to take time to unwind because this is huge. The candy, the dyes, the sugars, the gut has so much to do with it. It's so connected. And so I'm glad we're having this conversation, and it might take a decade to unwind and figure out the balance that we're seeking, but we're doing it. And that's the exciting thing.
Yeah, and it can be done in small steps, right? It can't all be fixed at one time, but just the intentional small steps. You know, I love the quote that says 1,000 steps starts with one. All right. And so it's always just one little step at a time. Love that. Anybody else want to jump in here? Corey?
So innovative ways with technology. When we're talking about innovation, it's interesting because it's always almost like what isn't here yet, right? Because we're innovating, like it's on the edge of being created and in existence. And so I can think of many instances where we could use technology to fill gaps that we don't currently have. So for example, I'm imagining kids that are in cancer wards or in really sick situations, and they can't go outside and play. They can't go out and connect with nature. Could we create programs for them where they could interact in these spaces, where they can, you know, turn rocks over, or they could climb trees, or they can do things that their body doesn't allow them to do? And that's just one example, but I think that there is the possibility to, if we're thinking that technology is a tool to be used for our well-being, if that's the mindset in which we enter this creation process, then I think it would be very easy to start looking at things like, well, where are our gaps? Like, how could we make this better? Like, here we have some kids that should be outside playing and they should be out there connecting and having a great time, but they can't because of their current circumstances. Can we use technology to build that gap? And so that's what I think of when I imagine innovative ways. I'm thinking of like, what do we not have that we need? And if we do value, you know, being in the real world, touching grass, as we're saying, I need to go touch some grass, right? Like that's an expression I hear a lot. Like I need to go touch some grass. There are real kids in the world that can't do that, right? They can't do that. They've got some immune issues, or they've got something going on. Their body's not cooperating. So can we using technology, can we bring the grass to them? You know, can we do those kind of innovative, I want to say innovative work, creative work to bridge those gaps? That's my thoughts on that, of how we can, if we have that mindset of creativity and wellness in service of our youth rather than as something that detracts from what they already have, I think we could do some pretty incredible things.
Definitely. Yeah, 100%. And we're saying that, we've been seeing that more and more, just a bunch of creative technologies that are being developed for those who don't have just normal access to, like you said, touching grass or going outside or even using all of the limbs. And so I love seeing that. And when it comes to our youth, it's like the systems have to be set in place for the wellness and for the healing. So that means getting schools involved, getting organizations involved. And I saw a stat from Mental Health America that says only 1 in 5 teens say their school provides regular mental health support or education on wellness. And so there's a gap there that needs to be addressed, which leads to the next question of how can schools, organizations, and communities collaborate to provide wellness programs that focus on holistic health for young people? Lori, I want to bring you into this, and Megan, we'll go to you, and then Jesper, we're going to get you involved in this conversation as well.
Yeah, one thing I did want to quickly add on the last question too, which relates to this as well, but I think gamification is a really innovative thing, you know, and if there's a what you eat game, where the healthier you eat, you get more points and you compete against your community. Kids are going to play it, or a meditation game. So bringing gamification in. And I think the schools and the communities and the organizations can do that by partnering with people who are willing to help, whether it is through a game or a organization. And they need to make it a priority, because I know I have been working with a nonprofit in my area, and we have a program for high school and middle school students to help them think about mindfulness and taking charge, and that there's opportunities and such. And we have been talking to numerous school districts, and and this is a free program we're offering to their students, and they're all saying, oh, well, yeah, it's really great, but we're busy, or we don't have the, and like, all we're asking you is to give us a room and let us teach. We're not telling. So I think, the schools need to make it a priority. They need to realize that this is just as important for their students as algebra and reading and writing. That health, it doesn't matter if you're great at math if you're so sick you can't go to work, or you can't do anything. And I think organizations and communities getting together, community-wide programs, health and wellness days where they have a festival with games and prizes and all the food, instead of having food trucks, they're all healthy food trucks, things like that. Taking advantage, because I think in most